Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to week 20 of your SAT Math Prep. This week's topic is Pythagorean Theorem. Please make sure that your teacher name and your class name is being circled. And please make sure you're writing down all of the work that is being shown in this video. We're going to be doing skill checks a little bit differently from now on. They are going to be online on quiziz.com, and they will be done through a Google Classroom. So when this video ends, you will be joining a Google Classroom and completing a skill check on Quiziz. So you'll need these notes so that you have them when you go to do your Quiziz. So we are doing Pythagorean Theorem this week. Remember that when we talk about Pythagorean Theorem, we are referring to the relationship between the side lengths of a right triangle. In that right triangle, two of the three sides are known as the legs. That would be A and B. And the side opposite the right angle is known as the hypotenuse. And the Pythagorean theorem states that A squared plus B squared must equal C squared. So example 1 says the legs of a right triangle are 3 centimeters and 4 centimeters. How long is the hypotenuse? So that's telling us A is 3, B is 4, and it's asking what is C. So we're going to set up the Pythagorean theorem, A squared plus B squared equals C squared, and we're going to substitute the 3 and the 4 into that equation for A and B, the lengths of the legs. We are then going to solve that equation for C. So 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9. 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16. So that gives us 9 plus 16 equals C squared. We add like terms to give us that 25 equals C squared. And then, to get the length of the hypotenuse, we take the square root of each side. The square root of 25 means that C is 5 units, in this case 5 centimeters long. So the hypotenuse is 5 centimeters, or B. Okay, and again, we could have drawn a picture if we needed to. Okay, if we want to draw a picture, that's easy. We've got a 3 and a 4, and then we had to find C, the hypotenuse, which turned out to be 5 centimeters. So in the example 2, it says the legs of a right triangle are 5 inches and 12 inches. So again, we could draw a picture very easily. The legs are 5 inches and 12 inches. And then the question asks us to find the perimeter. Well, in order to find the perimeter, we need to know all 3 side lengths. So step 1 is to find the value of C using the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, where A is one of the legs and B is another leg. So we have there 5 squared plus 12 squared equals C squared. 5 times 5 is 25. 12 times 12 is 144. We would add 25 and 144 together to get 169 equals C squared. So C is the square root of 169, which would be 13. Once we know the length of that third side is 13 inches, then we can turn around and find the perimeter by adding up our 3 side lengths, A plus B plus C. So our perimeter would be 5 plus 12 plus 13, or 30 inches. Answer is D. So again, that's the kind of question we're going to be seeing here. We're looking at a 1 or 2 step question based on the Pythagorean theorem. Again, the Pythagorean theorem states that we square the legs, we add them together, and that is equal to the square of the hypotenuse. On to example 3. In example 3, it says the hypotenuse of a right triangle is 20 centimeters in length. If one of the legs is 16, what is the length of the other leg? So we have 20 centimeters is our hypotenuse, C, and we have one of the legs is 16 centimeters. Say that's A. We still need to find B. So we set up the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, just like we did on the previous two questions. However, when we substitute these values in, our variable is b this time. It's in a different spot. So we do 16 squared. 16 times 16 is 256, plus b squared equals 20 times 20, which is 400. We then solve that equation for b, which means we need to subtract 256 from each side, which would give us that b squared is equal to 144. And then we would take the square root of each side to give us that b is equal to the square root of 144, or 12 inches. Centimeters. 12 centimeters. Our units are centimeters, so their answer here would be 12 centimeters. Now that's with all very nice working out numbers. What if the numbers didn't work out so nicely? Well, the work would not change. Our overall approach would remain the same. So in example 4, it says the hypotenuse of a right triangle is 33 meters. One of the legs is 21 meters. What is the length? Which of the following is closest to the length of the remaining leg? If we see that word, that means we're going to have not nice numbers. But that's okay. Okay, we just simply do what we've been doing. Okay, we mark our legs as A and B, we mark our hypotenuse as C, and we run the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So that's a squared plus 21 squared equals 33 squared. Use your calculator to do 21 squared, which is 441, and 33 squared, which is 1089. Then solve for that leg. So subtract 441 from each side. So we have 1089 minus 441, so a squared is equal to 648, and then we still take the square root to get the a by itself. So a is equal to the square root of 648, and we type that into our calculator to get a decimal approximation. It is 24.45. If we look at our answers, that would be approximately 24.5 meters. Now, if we're looking at that, which one is the closest? Well, the closest one, 25.45. I actually have a typo on my own page there. That should be 25.45, which is approximately 25.5. Or A. All right, our last example here, example 5, is going to be an application of Pythagorean theorem. So let's take a look at that one. It says a circle is centered at the origin. So if we think about what that looks like, that means that we are looking at a coordinate plane like this one. And it might take me a minute to get this picture right here. Centered at the origin is a circle. Okay, so let me move that circle so that it's actually centered at the origin. Okay, let me get that circle centered at the origin. 1 second here. Get our picture right. So that circle is centered. That's pretty centered at the origin. Okay, centered at 0, 0. It says if the point negative 12, 5, that would be over here somewhere, negative 12, 5 is located on the circle, what is the radius of the circle? Well, if we connect that point to the x-axis and to the origin, we create a right triangle. We know that one side of that triangle is 12 units long because to get from the origin to that point, we had to go left 12. Actually, I put that point in the wrong quadrant. What am I doing? Okay. Negative 12, 5. To get to that point, we go left 12, we go up 5. So it would be located somewhere in quadrant 3. Negative 12, or it's quadrant 2. Negative 12, 5. Which means to get to that point, we had to go left 12 and up 5. So when we're looking at this, this is really a Pythagorean theorem problem because the radius is the distance that that point is from the origin. So in reality, all we're really trying to do is figure out the hypotenuse of the right triangle with legs of 12 and 5. Well, again, that's Pythagorean theorem, A, B, C. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So we plug in our numbers. We're looking at 5 squared plus 12 squared equals C squared, or R squared in this case. So we're going to solve for R. 5 squared is 25. 12 squared, 12 times 12 is 144. We add those together, we get 169 equals R squared, which means that R is the square root of 169, or 13 units. Our answer is the radius is 13. Okay, so that does it for the guided notes, and hopefully everybody's gotten all of these written down, because we are going to completely change the way we're doing the skill checks from this point forward through the end of the year and into next year, in an effort to get you immediate feedback so that you know whether or not you are doing things correctly right away. We are going to utilize an online platform. So, what you need to do is you need to go to Google Classroom. You're going to, in a minute, don't move yet. You are going to jump on a Chromebook, and you are going to go to Google Classroom, and you are going to join the class code that is up on the screen right now. That class code is I5E5WVX. Now, your proctor has this code as well. When you join that class, the first thing you should see is that there is an assignment through Quiz posted to that classroom. Your job is to complete that 5-question Quiz and when you are done, you're done for the day. So please, at this time, get on a Chromebook, join that Google Classroom. That Google Classroom will be where you will find your skill checks for the rest of the year. And when you get in there, you're going to have an assignment. It'll be listed under the classwork tab at the top if it's not listed in the stream. And please go to that Quiz. It will require you to log in with your school email. One thing I want you to be aware of is that it is registering your school email. So when you log in, you need to use a name that can be recognized through Quiz. Okay? Good luck. Thank you very much for your time and your attention.